nice to meet you. My name is Jeannie.
Pleasure to meet you. Before we start, I'm happy to quickly introduce myself and then I'd love to learn a bit more about you and what you'd like to get from today.
Yeah, I think this is actually my first time meeting you here. So nice to meet you
Yeah, it is.
too.
Likewise, a pleasure. I graduated from Harvard University studying sociology and economics. When I graduated, I became an investment banker on Wall Street for a couple of years. But now I am a venture capital investor and we invest in technology startup companies. But
Cool.
I've always loved, thank you. But I've always loved languages as well and tutoring in different subjects. What do you think interested you in this article? Do you usually talk about
Yeah, of course.
MBTI?
Very first thing I actually saw today was MBTI, and I was like, ooh, I
Yeah.
actually chose a tutor who majored in sociology, so why
Ah.
not? And again, of course, yes, I don't know if it's a thing in the Western countries, but here in Korea, MBTI test or like MBTI categorization is such a huge boom among people at our age. So yeah.
Why do you think it's gained popularity so much
Ah,
in South Korea?
that's actually an interesting question because everyone, including me, always ask one another's MBTI when we first meet each other, or like even if we are
Wow.
like in a closer relationship, we always come up with an issue or come up with a topic that's related to personality or MBTI, but we actually never
Uh,
ask why are we talking about this? I think Korean people really love to categorize people or like categorize some type or want to fit into that specific segment. Unlike Western people in general, Asian people are more conservative and we actually do always care about our group while Western cultures are more individualistic, like Asian, like especially Korean society do really care about our peer groups society. And then MBTI test itself, even though the test actually categorizes into like 16 different categories,
mhm.
still we fall into specific one so
Right.
that we can like kind of feel the oh we are in the same group and we feel
Yeah,
like
so
some of the
yep.
similarities, right? So I think that's why, but I don't know, I really do not know like why we are so into this.
Wow. Do you buy into it in the sense of when you hear someone say that they have a particular MBTI, do you say, "Oh, it makes sense because you act this way," or how do you kind of connect?
I kind of have a sense. I can actually like feel, this one will fall into this kind of category. And that actually works because MBTI test, it only has like 16 different categories.
Right, right, right.
It's a lot, but very small when we think about the number of people in Korean countries,
Right.
right? The way he or she talks, you can actually think about, ooh, she must be intrinsic or like realistic based. So that
Yeah.
actually like just like comes to my mind directly. Like I can just feel it.
We're gonna have to put that to the test right here. So
Okay.
far, unless if you want to wait until the end of the session
Okay.
to
Then
guess,
what
if you want
about?
more data.
Yes, I need more data. So
You need
that
more data?
yes.
Okay.
So I need to hear your answer as well.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
Okay.
I am excited for your guess at the end.
Okay. This is actually my very
Uh,
first time predicting someone in other countries.
you think you're more on the introverted side, or you think you're more of an extrovert?
Definitely outroverted. Extroverted. Yeah, extroverted. But actually, the percentage itself kind of changed. I was like super E, but as time goes by and as my working experience kind of become longer and longer, my E percentage kind of lowered down and my I percentage kind of, yeah. So I'm like
Uh,
now, I think I'm like 60/40.
Now, I know that you mentioned work and such, but what do you think it was about that time and work that caused to the differences?
Right. So when I was in middle school, high school, or in the college, university, I need to socialize with people around me. Not only with my friends, like close friends, but I also get to have lots of chances to meet someone who I do not know because I always went to like some community or clubs to make
Yeah,
acquaintances to
yeah.
build up more network at
Right,
the
right.
time. But right after I started my career, I got to meet people I know only. Of course, I can meet some of the clients, some of the partners, or the colleagues, but those are just work-based. And
Right.
we cannot always call them as our friends or my companions, you know? They're not even my
Yeah,
family.
exactly.
So my network or human interactions kind of like got smaller and smaller, became more compact. As I also grow older, my friend zone also kind of shifted because like back in the days, of course, I would have like more friends, wider but more
Yeah,
shallow.
right,
But
right.
whereas now I got to have smaller, compact friend zone, but with like deeper friendships. So I think that kind of the background circumstance changes kind of brought me into the percentage increase and decrease at the same time.
Do you enjoy actively meeting different folks as well? Like, maybe during a weekend and such? Or do you, I guess, try to save time as like, I bet you're working a lot in different things. Like, where do you think your enjoyment lies?
For the past couple months, I
Yeah.
really love to stay in. But a couple years ago, I still was a person who wants to meet people, who kind of like gets energy from the people around me, or to like enjoy meeting new people. So that was actually a me back in the days,
Yeah.
but not now anymore.
Right. When you do have your, as we call it, me time, how do you like to spend that time with yourself?
So from this year, I actually started journaling. I decided to
Yeah.
make records of my daily life. If you have like photos or videos, of course you can like recall or remember,
Yeah.
oh, I did this on that day, I did that on that day. But without any record, you get to forget every single thing. For example, like, do you remember what you did like 10 p.m. last night? Probably no. I mean, like if you
That's a
like,
great question.
yeah, if you like think really
Yeah.
hard, right?
Right.
So I decided to not long journal, like short journals. I decided to like write down all the emotions or the things that actually
That's
happened to
amazing.
me. Yeah, so I started my journaling. It's been 2 months so far, and it helps a lot. As I became more not introvert, but less extrovert, I try to spend more time taking care of me, myself. So yeah, that's what I am doing recently.
I think journaling is a beautiful thing, and I do kind of journaling in different ways. But do you prefer like a physical journal and you write with a pen and paper, or do you like digital journaling? What's your vibe?
Right, so I actually first tried digital journaling, and of course everyone on YouTube always tells you to use Notion as a perfect productive application or platform, whatnot.
Right.
And I actually tried it, and I found it more difficult to utilize it in more effective or better way. Some of the advantages of Notion is actually you can archive that never will disappear unless you delete it. And then you can also search whenever you want to look it up again. However, I am not a tech savvy person. If you are like good at computer, or if you are good at like tech stuff, then it will be easier for you to use Notion. But for me, it was more time consuming for me to figure out like what kind of like features I need to use. And I spent too much time decorating and setting up all the templates, because I want my Notion to look beautiful. And that was like so time consuming. Of course, if you type things down, it can be faster. And I know you can just like drag it, like delete it, move everything around so quickly. I don't know, I feel more free or more control when I like write things down with pen or with my hand.
How do you feel you connect with those who are like opposite of you? Obviously, you're closer in split of introvert and extrovert, but like, do you think you're able to, as you say, gel with very introverted people or very extroverted people, or how is your relationship with people like that?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting question and very interesting topic to me, myself, especially because as an people person, me, myself, I always hang out with people who are super extrovert. There are like so many people around me who are very similar to me. However, when it comes to a very close friend zone, like my best friends from high school or my college, they are all super introvert. When I mean super introvert, they're like more than 70% of introvert.
Wow.
So this is actually very interesting because I am a super E person, whereas my close friends are all I. And My husband is actually 100% I person.
Whoa!
And
That's crazy.
I know.
It
and
makes sense though.
there is actually a more interesting story because there are like 4 different letters in MBTI, right? And each letter actually represents traits or personality, right? I'm not gonna tell my MBTI yet, but all 4 letters, my husband and mine, are all different.
Opposite. Oh, snap.
In my whole life, I
Whoa.
haven't ever met person like this MBTI during my whole life, really. I did not have any friends who
Look at that.
who had this MBTI. So at first, when I was in a butterfly emotion stage with my husband, we actually kind of worried. Like, what if we do not fit? Like, what if this is just a sudden, out of nowhere crush? But then, yeah, we finally got into a marriage. And then, of course, when we fight, it's like super crazy because we're like so different.
Passionate,
I know. Sure. But it also kind of a win-win relationship. Yeah, because like the things that I have, he doesn't have. And the things that he has, then I do not have it. So I think it's a kind of like well-balanced relationship.
Cliche classic phrase is opposites attract, right? Whether or not opposites attract or not, I do think opposites are compatible.
True.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Because as you mentioned, if you are too much alike with someone, you guys will kind of not be fighting for the attention, but it'll be more difficult to understand your roles in each other's lives. Right? Because even as I think about like business, I love to create, different products and ventures and whatnot. In business, right, it's like the foundation should be the same or similar. But you can't have 3 of the same people, or else you're not gonna go far, right? You need somebody who can be the visionary and like really out there. You need somebody who can work behind the scenes and work the operations and love that and all these things, right? Wow.
I know. So as a friend, it would be cool to have someone who are alike as you. But if you are finding someone to be a partner, like your lifetime partner, I think you need someone who is a little different so that he or she can actually, I don't know, like completes you more.
Before you knew his MBTI, did you feel the difference in your personalities or not necessarily?
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot. Because all of his letters are in the extreme percentage.
Opposite. Wow.
And mine also are very in the each letter actually falls into the extreme level of percentage. So we can definitely feel each other that we are like super different, and that's why we worried so much. We've been through the couple stage, and I'm a newlywed, but we are also
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And we are also in a stage finding out each other more and more as time goes by.
Of course.
And then it's always so interesting because we're so different.
Yeah.
So,
I know that you mentioned the E and the I, but do you think that the other letters changed as well since you were a child? Or did the other ones kind of stay around?
Main characteristic of myself didn't really change. And people do not change. So.
Right.
And you know what? I think I can actually guess your MBTI.
The moment I've been waiting for. Talk
so 100% you are E, of course. I mean, I'm not talking about the E percentage, but you are definitely will be the E. Because if a person is an introvert, I don't know, you can deliver the value, but more E tutors, E personality people will likely to be a tutor. So I'll pass out the second one, but I'm pretty sure you are T. I know you are a banking guy, so you must be very familiar with the numbers and figures and all the technical thing that actually does not really have to do with the emotion. And those number guys or IT tech guys are always 90%, 99% T guys.
All right.
So, yeah. And then most of those type of people actually fall into the J category. It's because those job categories prioritize or value the importance of plans. Like, this have to be done by this. This has this kind of due date, and I need to get things done by this. So I think you are like E something TJ. And I'm kind of confused N or S because in order to figure this out, I need to get to know you more. S. But I don't know. I really don't know. I can't really get.
So
Or maybe half
what
out.
is your final verdict?
So it's
What was your final verdict?
ESTJ.
E is correct. I am E.
Mm-hmm.
And I am J for sure. But I am ENFJ.
You're
That's my MBTA.
ENFJ. Okay, so I can say N or S, yes. But what about F? Where did that F come from? You're a number guy. You should be T.
I'm not a numbers guy.
Really?
I love to create. Yeah, so I actually like model and act as well and different things. So if you knew some of that information, you probably would have guessed F. Like for instance, like I also started my own like snack brand and different things. Like I'm like a goofy guy, so like I'm definitely asked.
Really? So see,
I'm
this
not
is
numbers at all.
this.
I am numbers because I have the experience, but like I would rather create and build and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I see. So you know what? This is a very bad side of taking things into a stereotype. Because the stereotype that I have about you was your job, right? Because you gave me the background information.
Yeah.
I took it too much that, okay, so this guy is a number guy and number guy is in generally...
And then you went with that entirely, right?
I know. So what I was actually wondering was, this guy must be T person, but why is he laughing laughing a lot? Because all the number guys do not actually laugh. They do not have any emotion. So I was like, wow, he is such a, how can I say, like, well socialized version of T.
Right, well socialized T.
Yes, but you were actually F.
I'm an F.
Wow. If you told me that you love like creating and all with that different like ideas, then you would definitely fall into the ENFJ type. Oh my goodness.
Isn't that funny?
I know.
You were right there. I mean, you basically nailed it. Like the way that you described each letter was great. Also with just like with the limited information that you had, that was great. Looking at everything, you would have nailed it for sure.
I know. I really. Oh, but damn, I missed it.
Also, I know that we have 5 minutes, but I have more time after that.
Oh, okay.
Next session. Do you have to leave in 5 minutes?
No.
All right, cool. Because I would definitely.
I work 50% Korean with my Korean clients, but all the partners are in China, India, US, Europe. So.
Oh, you said that in your notes, gotcha.
Yeah. So 50 Korean, 50 English. So I always got to use English.
It was a pleasure.
Really a pleasure for me as well. So hope you have a good day, and I will see you again soon.
Sounds great. Take care.
Okay, you too. Bye bye.